Mother, tell your children not to walk my way. Tell your children not to hear my words, what they mean, what they say.
Hello all, and welcome. And this is a response that I'm finally going to be able to do to everybody's comments and in general. I'm just going to do everybody's comments in general on the John Cena videos. So, let's get started here. This is going to be an overall generalization of what a lot of the comments were. If I miss something that a lot of people brought up, please just comment. And I know most of you will because of your utter hatred and bias against John Cena. So let's get started here. First of all, let me state this, because many of you do not get this. I am not a John Cena fan. I've never liked John Cena, to be completely honest. Didn't even like him when he was first really over, because I don't like those type of gimmicks. I never have. I was never really that big on The Rock, but because The Rock was so over, I could sit there and go, wow, The Rock's over. Wow, look at that. And same thing with John Cena. I could go, wow, John Cena, you know, at the 2004 I think it was 2004 Royal Rumble when Benoit won. I can't remember off the top of my head. But, you know, I was like, wow. You know, the Philly fans are booing that this guy got eliminated. When the Philly fans boo that you eliminated, and you're an entertainment gimmick, you are officially over, in my opinion. So, he was definitely over at that point. But I've never really liked him. I've never really cared for him. The reason why I did the videos is because I think many of you are overly harsh on him. So let's take some of the things that you guys said that I got completely wrong. First thing you guys said was, how can I say he's over when he gets booed? Okay, this is how. Because see, I understand the history of pro wrestling, what some of you greatly need to look at the history. Yes, there's a history of pro wrestling, and like all other histories, if you don't pay attention to it, you're doomed to repeat it. So let's get started. Back in the day, I'm talking 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, and parts of 93. Hulk Hogan, the most over guy in the history of pro wrestling, got booed. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, got booed. The WWE, it's on record. WWE edited out many of those boos, depending on what town he was in. Sounds familiar to Cena, doesn't it? They did it at the '92 Royal Rumble when they aired the clips, the highlights of the Royal Rumble, and Hogan got eliminated. They put in boos when he got eliminated, and then even bigger boos when Flair won the title. Unlike what really happened, which was cheers when he got eliminated, cheers when Flair got the title. Okay, so other guys have gotten booed. HBK's gotten booed when he was a face. Bret Hart got booed when he was a face. Lots of guys have gotten booed when they were faces, depending on what towns they were in. So that's something a lot of you need to keep in mind. This isn't anything new. This has happened before. That's why, that's why the actual, like, internet insider, wrestling insider guys, the guys you actually should be paying attention to their news sites, none of them have gone crazy like so many of you saying John Cena's not over, John Cena gets booed, and it's a problem. They've said that, it'd be nice if he was over more, but he's not over, and he is over, and WWE is laughing to the bank, and it's pretty much evident that he is over because he's making the money. Second, all of you people that keep saying that if a guy has to be carried to a match, he shouldn't be the champion. So yeah, that's about the most moronic statement I've ever heard in my life, because there's tons of guys to show that that's just not true. Your most over guy should be your champion. Always should be, no question about it. There shouldn't be any even argument about that. If your most over guy is adequate in the ring, there's no reason why he shouldn't be champion. Unlike a guy who is excellent in the ring, but not very over. And if you're going to sit there and then compare John Cena's not as over as much as Hulk Hogan, and John Cena's not over as much as Steve Austin, well, here's the problem. How many guys have ever, in the history of pro wrestling, ever been that over? Maybe 4 other guys in the history of pro wrestling? I mean, come on, that's just a stupid comment for a lot of you to make. And then you guys state that, he should be over that much. Well, he's not, and anybody that's going to sit there and compare him to those two guys just needs to realize that there haven't been that many guys in the history of pro wrestling that were ever over that much. And if you're going to say that he wasn't over that much, then I guess that means Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels are complete failures, since they never got over as much as Ric Flair. Who would probably be who you would compare them to. Never were the draw that Ric Flair was. So, that's a moronic statement. Okay. So let's see what else we have. I guess I could go over in-ring ability. The fact that he's not horrible in the ring. He's okay. He can be carried to great matches, unlike Goldberg. Yes, Goldberg could not wrestle, folks. And for all of you people that came on here and said that I was moronic for saying that Cena is better in the ring than Goldberg, you need to get a freaking clue, okay? Now, a few of you stated that John Cena is to blame to some degree because I stated that the whole reason for my video was because he had gotten stale, and that was the creative staff's fault. And you said, well, John Cena should be going to the creative staff, going to Vince McMahon, and saying that, I need to change my character. And he has gone to Vince McMahon and said that. He went to Vince McMahon before WrestleMania and said that I should be the heel and Shawn Michaels should be the face, and Vince McMahon shut him down. Now, we get to part 2 of my video, which you guys stated, well, that HBK and Stephanie McMahon aren't, HBK, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon aren't the problems. Vince McMahon is because he has final say. You were right, except for this point. Vince McMahon currently is the emperor with no clothes on. He's not doing things right, and no one is willing to stand up to him and say, hey, Vince, maybe you should do this, because they're scared that Stephanie and Triple H will do to them what they did to Paul Heyman and James E. Cornette. Okay, you guys need to realize that guys are fearful for their jobs. That's why they will not stand up to Stephanie McMahon. Alright? So, yes, Vince holds some of the responsibility because, he's making the decisions. But if he's getting bad information and he's getting bad ideas from people because people aren't willing to stand up to Stephanie and Triple H, then that's not good. Alright? Next, for all of you that said that, how can you say that about Triple H? At least Triple H is good in the ring. Who cares about backstage politics? Backstage politics aren't important. Backstage politics don't mean anything. They don't? Okay, and this is the Bill and Doug. Next time you get those free tickets from TNA, go ask Shane Douglas what he thinks of backstage politics. Okay? For everybody on here, go ask Steve Austin what he thinks of backstage politics, because that's why he was fired from WCW. Why did Brian Pillman leave WCW, which was the #1 promotion at the time, and being part of the Horsemen, which were being pushed at the time, to go to WWE, WWF, which was the weaker promotion at the time? Why did Chris Jericho leave WCW? Why did Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn leave WCW? Okay, backstage politics plays a huge role in things. And for you people not to realize that, you guys need to realize there is wrestling before 2000. Yes, there is. Believe it or not, there was pro wrestling before the year 2000. And you guys need to realize that. Backstage politics plays a huge role in things. And if Triple H is allowed to be able to push Orton into the title picture when Orton should be being punished, and the only reason he's not being punished is because of the injuries in the WWE at the moment, sends a huge message to the backstage room because he has been a problem. There's more than enough evidence to show that he's been a problem. So don't even bring me that. Alright? Because you're just sending the wrong message to the guys in the back. Now, as far as, let's get a little Wrestling 101 here, because most of you apparently have no clue what the term being put over means. Okay, because I stated that Triple H has not put anybody over, and everyone said, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You said, he put over John Cena. He didn't put over John Cena. John Cena was already over. He didn't need to put over John Cena. He put over Goldberg. Goldberg was already over. He didn't need to put over Goldberg. He just let Goldberg beat him. He just let John Cena beat him. That's not putting a guy over. That's just letting a guy beat you. There's a difference. Okay? You said he put over Orton. He did put over Orton. I said he put over Orton. The problem is that's one of the few guys he has put over. You said he put over Batista. He did put over Batista. I agree. The problem is there's one of the few guys he's put over. Okay, putting a guy over, and then you guys said Shelton Benjamin. He didn't put over Shelton Benjamin. He just let Shelton Benjamin beat him 3 times. To put a guy over, you have to do a prolonged feud with him, and you have to take a guy and make him better than he once was, at least in the eyes of the fans. And Triple H has never done that. He didn't do it with Booker T. He didn't do it with Shelton Benjamin. He didn't do it with RVD. He didn't do it with Chris Jericho. He has never done it unless he's wanted to do it, unless it's one of his boys. And you guys need to realize that. That's why we're stuck with John Cena, because John Cena is the only guy who is currently over. As I said, it is stupid that guys have to go to SmackDown to get over and get put over by The Undertaker instead of by Triple H on Raw, which is what should be going on. And I'm running out of time, so I'm out. Bye.